Hello, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I wanted to share with you an excellent book that I've just read. It's called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning by Margareta Magnusson. I hope I'm saying her name right. This book is different than just decluttering tips. It's actually going into the reasoning for downsizing and what she calls death cleaning. Let me tell you what I've learned from this book and how I have applied it to my life. She says that she's between the ages of 80 and 100 years old, and she suggests that if you're the age of 65 and older, you start The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. And to be honest, I am currently 35 years old, and I felt that this book could apply to my life as well. First, I want to say I read the entire book in one day, so it is a very quick, easy read, and it does provide a lot of motivation. This book touches on a subject that most people don't want to talk about, and that is the fact that eventually all of us are going to have to deal with the items that are left behind when someone passes away or when our items are left behind. As the author says, this is not a sad book, and this is not a book that is going to make you feel bad. It's actually a book that is going to encourage you and inspire you to want to go through your things. And I guess she doesn't use the word declutter, but really look at the items that once meant a lot to you in your life and you were able to use, and decide whether you can still use them or whether you are no longer going to need these items in your life. She suggests once you hit the age of 65 years old that you should then start taking this very seriously. She encourages everyone to look at their items and see if there are things that have some meaning to them that you could give to the younger generations of family members, and that you could explain the story behind these items rather than just having them all left in the end and no one knowing what any of these items meant. Offer the items that you think your family might want to your family members, but don't be offended if they don't want these items, and you could still get rid of them without feeling bad because they've served their purpose. What I really enjoyed about this book is it was very realistic. There were no silly fairy ideas or any kind of craziness. It was simply going through your items and remembering what they meant to you and remembering the stories that were behind the items, and then letting the items go with the intent that you don't want to leave this problem for your family members when you are gone. She has some really amazing suggestions on how to broach the subject with your family of what you are doing. And she says there's different ways to go about this. You could either announce it to your family members that this is what you're doing, or every time they come and visit you, you could give them something and they may get the picture of what's going on, but you don't have to necessarily have a big conversation about what you're doing. You can just slowly give the items away. Therefore, they're out of your hands and your family members can do whatever they want with them, but they will realize the journey that you are currently on. I have a quick story to add to this, because when my dad's parents were getting older, they had to downsize from a very tiny home that they lived in to a retirement home. And they did something very interesting. My grandma went through her whole entire house and she put every item that they were not going to need anymore on a table. Then she invited all of us over, and we were able to pick items that we wanted to have. And she started with my dad and his brother, and they got to pick items one by one. So I forget who got the first pick, but somebody got the first pick. They got to pick what they wanted, and then it went to the other brother, and it went back and forth until all of the items were taken. And it was just such a relief for her, and she was able to tell us the story about each item, and she had a little note of what the item meant and where it came from. And this was a good way for them to be able to give us these items in a fun way that I to this day still remember. One of the realistic tips she gives is if you are downsizing from a large home to a small place, you will want to map out what the small square footage will be and figure out each piece of furniture you will be able to bring with you and what you will not be able to fit in this new place. This makes so much sense. I feel like I should even do this for my home now, especially when shopping for furniture, so I know exactly what could fit and how it will be able to be moved around. So many of us don't do this, and we just try to cram whatever stuff we have into a small space, and if it doesn't fit, then you're never going to feel comfortable in your new place. One of the funniest parts in the book to me, and this really stuck with me, is when you go, make sure you have gotten rid of any secret items that you don't want people to find. And this even applied to me when I went through all of my stuff from when I was a teenager and young adult. I had a lot of journals, and I really didn't want anyone reading those journals. So I went through, ripped out any pages that I might want to keep, and then I destroyed those journals because honestly, for me, that information just did not apply to my life today. I read through it, I didn't want to relive it ever again, so I got rid of those journals, and I didn't feel that anyone who, my kids or anybody like that, needs to read those things. Those were just private thoughts that I had. And so she says that what you should do is definitely go through anything that you have that's possibly a secret that you don't want your family to know about, and get rid of those items before it is too late. Another tip I took away from this book, even as a 35-year-old, is don't be offended when you offer something to someone and they aren't interested in the item. It's nothing about you or the item, it's just that they probably can't use this item, which is actually a good thing, because then that means you can find the proper home for this item yourself, and maybe somebody who will appreciate this item more can use it. This book veered off into a lot of her personal stories about items, which I found very interesting, and it always came back to explain why she was getting rid of certain items and the feelings that she had when she was getting rid of these items, the memories that were connected to these items. And I think that is true for everyone, especially people that really like to hold on to things. Sometimes it's the memory that they are associating with the item. So therefore, they keep the item because they think if I got rid of it, the memory would be gone. And what I do is if I feel that that could happen, I will take a picture with the item or of the item, and then I always have it to jog my memory of the item and of the memory. But honestly, I've found with most of the things I've decluttered or donated in my life that the memories are still there even though the items are gone. One of the coolest things that the author suggests in this book that I plan to do is a box of special mementos that mean something to you that you don't care if your family knows about, but you can write on this box, and she says about a shoebox size, you can write on there, throw away. And what that means is that you were saving these items for yourself. They probably don't have any value to anybody else. They're probably notes or tickets or something that you felt you needed to keep because you wanted to look at that would bring back a little memory or something like that, you wanted to, letters you wanted to read, something along those lines, but that your family members can know that when something happens, you can just toss that box away. You don't have to go through it. You don't have to look at the items that are in the box, and you can know that those items were only being kept for yourself to look through. And the family can keep the items if they want, but they don't have to worry about going through them. There's nothing important in there. So I thought that was such a cool idea, and I feel like everyone should apply that to their lives. My mom is between the age of 62 and 64. She told me to say that. And she is going to share with us her perspective and takeaway from the book.
I'm Shannon's mom. Shannon got this book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, and it interested me because it reminded me of my mother-in-law, Hilma. And when she passed away about 10 years ago, and before she did, she had put a note on every little thing. She cleaned her house out. Everybody got a vase or a cup, and I still have the little notes inside the cups saying where they came from, and the old clock. I've been cleaning out my house, do a little bit at a time. I don't go and just clean everything out. And I've been finding that certain things I want to keep, certain things that don't really matter, just like they say in this book. And I don't want to burden my kid with all my junk, personal letters and all that. When Shannon went into her bedroom in my house and took out all of her stuff, it made me have some room to put my things in there. But before I did, I went through every box. I picked out old love letters and things I thought were important. I looked at them, I said goodbye to them, and I threw them in the trash because I thought a lot of this stuff, I really don't want my grandchildren looking through it. So I cleaned a lot of that out and I don't miss it. I used to entertain, we used to entertain a lot. And then, so we don't really do that very much anymore. So I've been slowly cleaning out serving dishes, platters, wine glasses. We don't drink anymore, so we don't need, 50 wine glasses. We got rid of those. And so I've just been slowly cleaning out. But the Swedish Death Cleaning is so you don't burden your children and grandchildren with your stuff, and you find a place for it and you feel better about it. And I'll feel better when it's all done because my father passed away and now I've got a lot of his stuff that I'm going through. So right when I emptied my office out, it just filled right up again. So now I'm burdened thinking about his stuff, and I'm glad I have it because I want to go through it, but it's still a burden trying to think about it, and I don't want to leave Shannon with that burden because there's a lot to go through. I recommend this book. Read it. It's short. I'm not a reader. It took me about 3 nights to read because I fall asleep as soon as I start reading. So, it was very helpful, right to the point, funny. And this lady's like somewhere between 80 and 100 years old. Clean it out. Don't pass it down.
So this book is a little bit more than just telling you to declutter and get rid of all your items. It's telling you to really feel the emotions that each item meant to you and pass it on to the next generation if they would like it, or find a new home where you feel those items would be most enjoyed. If you like this video, please click here and you can see how we decluttered our entire home in 1 year, and I'll see you next time. Bye.